February, the second month of the year. I'm so happy that we have a couple of guests tonight, and we have an excellent turnout from the club members. Tonight is very exciting. As you may have picked up on, we are having a club speech contest, and this is specifically table topics where everybody's going to have an opportunity to think fast and think on their feet. Before we begin, I want to very quickly read the mission of our club so that we ground ourselves in the purpose of why we're here. So the mission of a Toastmasters Club is to provide a mutually supportive, positive learning environment in which every member has an opportunity to develop communication and leadership skills, which in turn fosters self-confidence and personal growth. And I'm really excited that tonight our Toastmaster, our MC, is Michael Smith. He's one of our newer members. But before I turn it over to Michael, I really quickly want to hear from our three guests tonight and hear very briefly what brought them here, why they're interested in Toastmasters. So Martina, if you want to go first, that'd be excellent. You can take yourself off mute.
Sure. So my name's Martina, and I'm originally from New Hampshire. I did a bit of Toastmasters in New Hampshire when I was there, as well as in Boston when I was working in Boston. Pretty on and off, probably more off in the last year. And I think what brings me here specifically tonight, I had reached out in the fall about attending, but my schedules just didn't work. I'm in law school and had a weird class schedule. But as a lawyer, I know I have to do a lot of public speaking, and it's something that I really hate, and it makes me very nervous. So basically, yeah, I just want to be a little bit more comfortable. I think in my prior Toastmasters experience, I've given a couple speeches, but I feel pretty rusty about that at this point. So hope to, yeah.
That's excellent. That's why we're here. We're all here to improve our skills, and this is a great space to practice and make mistakes, use filler words so that we can sharpen our skills for professional environments or educational environments. We're really on stage and it counts. But it's great to have you here. So thank you.
Thank
you. Oliver, you can take yourself off mute. I'd love to hear a little bit about what brings you here tonight.
Hi, everybody. My name's Oliver from New York, Queens. I found out about Toastmasters from Eddie and Giovanni last 2 weeks ago. And I was just kind of curious. Hey, Eddie. I was kind of curious about it. I'm kind of excited to hear that you guys are having some kind of competition or something. I just took a brief look at the agenda to see what you guys talk about. And yeah. Well, I guess also I would like to improve my public speaking ability. I have trouble communicating clearly. I have a lot of thoughts in my head, but they come out jumbled up, and sometimes they don't come out at all. So I thought this would be a pretty good space.
Fantastic. That's why we're here. And what you'll see later is this club contest or table topics is a great opportunity, and it's a great challenge because everybody, both members and guests, get to come up with a speech on the fly that has to fit within 2 minutes. And so it's a good opportunity to learn how to organize and practice organizing in a short span of time. And then club members also deliver these prepared speeches where you can really think through how do I want to structure and organize my thoughts. And lastly, Dory, who's not a new guest. She is a familiar face. If you want to briefly introduce yourself, and I believe you're in a new environment too.
Yes. Hi, Ari, and members and guests. Yes, I normally visited this club, which was friendly and helpful from New Jersey, but now it's earlier because I'm in Sun City, West Arizona, blue sky, and I'm on a golf course for 3 months. I decided to get out of the winter as I've done every year, but I didn't want to miss your meeting. So right now it's like 4:15, 4:20 here, and I'm looking forward to all the speeches, but especially the table topics question, because that's always so scary when you have no idea and how they're going to handle it. So I'm happy to be here, and thanks for having me again.
Absolutely, thanks for joining us.
And Dory, we are jealous.
Okay, well, I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, so there you have it.
Super cool. So I'm going to put the link to the agenda in the chat. And one other note for our guests is we do record these club meetings so that members can go back and rewatch the video of how they did, and they can improve it and see where they might be using filler words and but we don't share that video beyond the club membership, so it stays private. Wonderful. So I would love to pass the mic, so to speak, over to Michael, who's going to be our Toastmaster for tonight, and is going to introduce our evaluation team. Please, Michael, take it away.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and very distinguished guests, and welcome to this Wednesday edition of TIC Toastmasters meeting on this pre-snow. Dory here? We're getting snow tomorrow, Dory. Do you hear?
Yes.
Happy to see everyone. Happy that everyone is on board. And to our guests, just sit back and enjoy yourself. This is a great ride. You will really learn a lot just by being on. And I, again, also welcome you to this meeting this evening. So my job is to move the agenda along, sort of act as the MC for the evening. And I'm going to try to do that to the best of my ability. One of my tasks is to introduce some of the wonderful people who will be doing very, very special things. So let me start off with our timer for this evening, and that is none other than Giuseppe. Giuseppe?
Hi, everybody. Well, the timer, reality is another guy called Timer, but he's going to join soon. If he cannot join, I will do the timer. And pretty much is prepare speeches, table topics, and evaluation. Prepare speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, and at the 5 minutes, you're going to see a green screen. Sorry, I need to change my camera, and this is why I didn't want it to be. So at the 5 minutes, they're going to see a green screen. At the 6 minutes, which is yellow, start to getting ready to wrap up. And then at 7 minutes, red. If you pass 30 seconds, they are disqualified and they have to repeat the whole thing again in the same minute. Not true. Not true. For the table topics, it's 1 to 2 minutes. So 1 minute, green, 1.5 is going to be yellow, 2 minutes, red. And evaluation is 2 to 3 minutes, and the same as we already know. So with that saying, pass back to our Mr. Toastmaster for tonight.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe. Our next presenter is actually doing double duty tonight. So we're really going to work him this evening. I hope we don't overwork him this evening. Troy, if you'll unmute. And Troy is going to be our counter, our grammarian, our word master, and our joke master for this evening. So Troy, take it away.
Well, hello, fellow Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of the eye counter is to note words and sounds that are used as a crutch or a pause filler by anyone who speaks. Now, during the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen for fuller sounds, including I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or a phrase, such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker uses these expressions. And since I am your word and joke master of the day, the word that I chose, and might be appropriate in these times, is stimulus. And the meaning of stimulus is something that provokes or causes an action or response, or something that rouses or incites to activity. Now, this is my joke regarding stimulus. 3 contractors are bidding to fix a broken fence at the White House. One is from Chicago, another is from Tennessee, and the third is from Minnesota. All 3 go with a White House official to examine the fence. The Minnesota contractor takes out a tape measure and does some measuring, then works some figures with a pencil. Well, he says, I figured the job will run about $900. $400 for materials, $400 for my crew, and $100 profit for me. The Tennessee contractor also does some measuring and figuring, then says, I can do the job for $700. $300 for materials, $300 for my crew, and $100 profit for me. The Chicago contractor doesn't measure or figure, but leans over to the White House official and whispers, $2,700. The official, incredulous, says, "You didn't even measure like the other guys. How did you come up with such a high figure?" The Chicago contractor whispers back, 1,000 for me, 1,000 for you, and we hired the guy from Tennessee to fix the fence. Done, replies the government official. And that, my friends, is how the new stimulus plan will work. Back to you, MC, for the evening.
Troy, thank you for that political / non-political joke, Troy. We really appreciate that. And so apropos, you hit the nail on the head. Thank you very, very much. You'll hear again from Troy a little later as he gives a report on as the odd counter and how many people spoke the word stimulus. I don't know if I get credit for just saying it, but he'll be the one to let everyone know. So this is one of the best portions of our meeting when, especially for our guests and for the members, you will hear 3 very, very stimulating speeches coming from 3 of our members. They're all on different paths, and you'll learn all about pathways and how to achieve and how to give speeches and those kinds of things. But we've got 3 of the most talented members of our club who are giving speeches tonight. And so without further ado, I want to bring on Miss Kelly King Lewis.
Hello, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Thank you, President Ari Klickstein, and our members of TIC and our esteemed guests for this evening. Welcome to our meeting. Tonight, I want to talk about every day 365. That's every day, 365 days a year. And there's so many things that we do every day, small things like we get up, we wake up, we get dressed, we go to work, although a lot of our commutes are much shorter these days. We travel, we do errands, we go get food, and we may do some things out of the ordinary at times. So let me start with starting your day, starting our days. Let there be light. When you wake up, what's the first thing you do getting out of bed? So if you think, I don't want to stub my toe, I'm going to do this first, it would be that you turn on your light. Turn on your light on your nightstand, or if you have a clapper, or if you have some other device to turn your light on remotely, you turn it on and you're smart to do it because you could stub your toe or you could bang your knee, none of which are pleasant. So when you turn that light on, who should you thank? Well, you can thank Con Edison, the fact that you were able to perhaps pay your bill and you've got electricity. But the next person you should be able to thank, and you should thank, is Lewis Latimer. Lewis Latimer invented and patented the filament that's found in light bulbs. And that allows the bulb to not only illuminate brighter, but also last longer. And Lewis Latimer was a Black man. So next, after you have turned on the light, you've done whatever you needed to do, and now you're putting your clothes on. So it's 1, 2, buckle my shoe. And I don't know about you, by show of hands, how many people here really love shoes? I really love shoes. I'm not gonna tell you how many shoes I have. So maybe it's a woman thing, but I know there's men that have a lot of shoes too. But before we head out of our house, these days we do need masks to put on, but the next thing we also really need is our shoes. And at one time, shoes were really hard, really expensive. They were made entirely by hand, and they had to be fit to your foot. So your foot had to be molded, and so that they would have the size and form of your foot. And the real difficult part was putting the bottom of the shoe, which they called the last, onto the top part of the shoe, the upper part of the shoe. It took a lot of skill to do. And so it was really expensive to have shoes back in the day. So I probably would not have as many shoes as I have now. So just imagine, shoes were really, 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 really expensive. They took lots of skill. They were intricate, very expensive. And so I have to thank, for augmenting my wardrobe, Jan Matzliger. He was a young man from Suriname, born to a Dutch father and African mother in South America, and he moved to Lynn, Massachusetts, and he invented and patented the automated shoe laster. So that meant that with this machine, there could be 150 to 700 shoes made in one day, as opposed to the maximum of 50 being made by hand. They say his invention revolutionized the shoe industry and cut the price of shoes. So I really thank Jan for that. How many of you live in an apartment? Let's see a show of hands. How many people live in an apartment? Some of you may live in a house. I live in an apartment. I live on the 4th floor. And if you live in a city, most likely you live in an apartment, and hopefully if you live in an apartment and it's more than 2 stories, apartment building, you have an elevator. I live on the 4th floor, but even so, I wouldn't want to drag groceries up 4 flights of stairs. But when elevators were first invented, they were really complicated and risky to use. You had to manually shut both the shaft door and the elevator door. And there were so many accidents that happened to people forgetting to do both. So in 1887, Alexander Miles, another Black man, took it upon himself to develop a solution after his daughter almost fell to had a fatal fall down a shaft. He invented a mechanism that allowed elevator doors to automatically open and close, both doors, the inner door and the outer door. And his designs are largely reflected in elevators that we use today. Traffic. Nobody likes traffic, whether you're on foot or in a car. Does anyone remember the public service message, cross at the green and not in between? Okay, saved a lot of lives, didn't it? Yes. And today in New York City, we have a Vision Zero campaign for drivers to watch out for pedestrians as they cross the street. But without Garrett Morgan, traffic would not flow as easy for cars, and pedestrians would not be as safe. Morgan had several patents. Some of his patent improvements were to the sewing machine and to gas masks, but his most important and influential invention was improving the traffic light from a 2-light system, red to green, to a 3-light system. And he added the yellow light, the yield light. And that was the warning light for oncoming drivers of an impending stop. Now, some people see the green light and they go faster and they go through the yellow light, They see the yellow light and they go faster. They don't come to a slow stop. But his patent was taken out in 1923, and it was granted to him the following year. And we have him to thank for our 3 traffic light system. Now that we are in the midst of this pandemic, a lot of us are ordering our food. We order our food from Fresh Direct or from Peapod or from Amazon Grocery, if we order fresh produce. And even if we go to the store ourselves for fresh produce or fresh meats, there is a man who helped invent something that allowed all of this marvel of the 21st and 20th century to take shape. And his name was Frederick McKinley Jones. He had a patent for the refrigerated truck. And he had more than 60 patents throughout his life, but he did a roof mounting cooling system that used to refrigerate goods and meats on trucks and extended the transportation and the life of those perishables. He received his patent in 1940, and he co-founded the U.S. Thermo Control Company, later known as Thermo King. So if you see trucks on the street, a lot of times you'll see that refrigerated top of the truck, that's Thermo King. That was his company. And his company was really critical during World War II. It helped to preserve food, blood, and other supplies during the war. So here we are, we're in the midst of this COVID-19, our unfortunate reality. Happy that all of us are here well, and I hope that we all remain well as our friends and family. But COVID-19 has forever changed our lives, from working at home to wearing masks, and then the increased hygienic practices like washing your hands. And we're all hoping for an end to this pandemic. And one ray of hope in the development and distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine is that it's a ray of hope for all of us. It's a ray of hope that we'll be able to one day assemble together once again. And it's taken a lot of scientific research to develop the vaccine, and it could not have been done without the use of HeLa cells. And I don't know if any of you are, scientists or biologists, but a HeLa cell is the most important and the immortal cell line used in scientific research. It's the oldest and most commonly used cell line. And the HeLa cell still lives today. It's serving to uncover crucial information about the novel coronavirus. And these cells were taken from cervical cancer cells from Miss Henrietta Lacks, a 31-year-old Black woman, a mother of 5, who died of cervical cancer that year. And hers were the first human cells to survive and thrive outside of the body in a test tube. So as I bring all of these people to mind, to light, giving you some education, giving you some information on how Black history is not just, one time a year. It's not just a few people. Black history helps each one of us live our lives from day to day. It's not confined to history books or even in the absence of history books. Yeah, we in this country can celebrate the mosaic of who we are, all of us. And it's exciting to learn and to share what truly makes our country great. It's history, and it's every day, 365, here for you to share with all of you and the world. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Kelly. I'm going to say that again. Thank you, Kelly. Really good way to get started. I think everyone will agree. Very, very good way to get started. Thank you again. And so our next dynamic speaker for this evening is Lois Lynn.
Hold on.
I'm sorry.
For comments in the chat.
Oh, exactly right. Exactly right.
And when you introduce me, please say the name of my speech and the project.
Okay, will do. My first error of the night, but that's okay.
No problem.
We give everyone 1 minute to send Kelly comments through the chat. And so if you, Mr. Timer, if you will give us 1 minute and you can send Kelly your comments about her speech through the chat. Thank you, Lois.
And for everybody's information, timer is working now. It's been working for a while by now, actually.
Was that a minute?
Time's up.
Okay. I was looking for that screen to go. Okay, very good.
Michael, sorry, one other comment. Eddie has the speech tip of the day that he'd love to share as well.
Did I skip over Eddie?
Yeah, but no problem.
Then we're going to integrate Eddie right now with the speech tip of the day. I think the stars are out of line in my apartment, so all of you forgive me for tonight. It's been some real strange vibes going on in my apartment building all day, so please forgive me. Eddie, the floor is yours. Speech tip of the day.
Not a problem, Michael. We're live. It's okay. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Speech tip of the day. Well, this is more like speech wisdom. This is a quote that I borrowed from Lily Walters, who's a professional speaker. She says, "The success of your presentation will be judged not by the knowledge you send, but by what the listener receives." The most important thing that we must know about public speaking is that it's all about the people that you're talking to. Before you ever utter a single word, you need to know that you need to know your audience. You need to understand your audience, because your subject matter, your content, your structure, your delivery, everything is meant for your speakers. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
I'm giving myself on the wrist because that was an excellent speech tip of the day for the guests. The speech tips of the day are very, very helpful. And when you're planning to do your speech, there are a number of them that we get each week. So please always pay attention to that. Eddie, again, thank you for that. Now, our second speaker is Lois Lynn, Pathways Presentation Mastery. And her topic for tonight is, according to my notes, homemade soy milk. Lois, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Welcome to my kitchen. We have a new venue for today's presentation. When you hear the word soy, what comes to mind? Can you write a few things in the chat that when you hear soy, what is in your head? This way I can connect with you, my audience. No pressure from Eddie, but I need to connect with you and see that you get what you need out of this. Okay? All right. Okay. Anything else? Like anything else? These are all good things for the most part. Yeah. Yeah. Like, is it healthy? Is it not healthy? What's your take on that? Vegan? Yeah. Okay. All good things so far. Fermented? Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, soy has a lot of benefits. It's somewhat misunderstood. You hear some people say that it might cause man boobs or things like this. But if you go to the beach and you see someone walking around with man boobs and you ask them if they eat soy, 9 times out of 10, they will say no. So it does not cause man boobs. Okay, let's just get that record straight. It does a lot of good. Well, it is a complete protein, and it's high in vitamins and minerals. Minerals in particular because it's a. Here, let me show you. So this is, I've soaked these beans for 24 hours. They were a cup this size, and now they have doubled in size. And while this is, first I'll just show you how to make it, and then if there are any questions or anything, I'll answer them as we go. There's one ingredient, soybeans. 2 is water. 3, I'm putting a sweetener, which are dates. And 4 is I use natural vanilla beans, if you can see that. See that? That's a natural. I don't use vanilla extract because it's alcohol. I don't use any alcohol of any kind. It's empty calories. The process takes about 28 minutes because the beans will cook and then they will pulverize. So they're soaked, they're cooked, and then they pulverize, and it takes time. You never want to eat a raw bean. Never, ever, ever. You will get indigestion. So I'm going to switch to so you can see. I'm going to turn this one off so you don't go cuckoo with 2 of me. Okay, now let's see. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is an Instant Pot blender that I use for soy milk because it cooks and it pulverizes, and it has a soy milk function. But you could very easily just make it on top of the stove in a big pot, or make it in an Instant Pot, which is a pressure cooker. And then you can put it into a high-speed blender to pulverize it. So there are many ways to do this. I just use this because I have it and it's got a function and it does it all together. So first thing is I'm going to put the beans in and the water. And I'm going to put it up. There's a fill line for hot food. I'm going to put it up to that fill line, which is 46 ounces. Okay. And I'm going to put in the other two ingredients. And that's basically it. It's going to make noise, so I'm going to turn off my volume, but I'm going to leave it on for the duration. I hope it's not too distracting, but I want you to be able to just peek over and see as it's working how it works, how it cooks and pulverizes all in one. So there's a soybean function right here. And it says here 28 minutes and 30 seconds. You see that?
Yes.
So it's going to start to cook. It's going to warm up. You're going to see the temperature is going to go up. You see the temperature right now is 57.
Yes.
It's going to go up higher. I'm going to try to get this a little higher so you can see.
Yeah, we can see the temperature on there. You don't have to lift it up.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Good, because it'd be more stable without it.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You see, it's okay. Let me just move the.
You can also tilt the camera down, maybe.
Yeah. I just don't want to move it because then here we go. There we go. Okay.
85, 87.
So it's gonna just slowly come up, and let's see how much, Mr. Timer. How much more time do we have? A little bit. Okay. Can we get samples? Sure. I'll tell you what it tastes like. Do you remember when you were a kid and you drank malteds? That's what it tastes like because I put the dates in for sweetness. The only sugar I use in my apartment for anything I cook are dates or dried fruits of any kind. I have no refined sugars. Date is the most healthy sweetener of all the sweeteners you could choose from. And that is the only, it simplifies my entire kitchen because I don't have any other refined sugar. And we are out of time, so I will come back later, or you can watch it, and just at the end, I'll just kind of, maybe during table topics, we'll just peek in again. Okay, thank you, Madam, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Lois. Now, to our guests, I'm sure that you never expected to attend this meeting tonight and be entertained by Martha Stewart, Rachel Ray, Produce Pete, the Science Gal, all rolled into Lois Lynn. So Lois, we truly, truly thank you for that speech tonight. Thank you so much. We're on a roll tonight, gang. I don't know why I was chosen to be Toastmaster tonight, but we are on a roll. So everyone, please take a moment, go to the chat and give Lois your comments on her speech this evening. 1 minute, Mr. Timer.
Mm.
I don't see the timing board. Are we at 1 minute?
There we go.
There we go. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Timer. So, ladies and gentlemen, our third and final speaker for this evening will be none other than Genevieve, Pathways Leadership Development. And her project title is Fear Has Two Meanings. Genevieve, the floor is yours.
Giuseppe and everyone, can you guys see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Giuseppe, don't start timing me until I give you a thumbs up. I just wanted to make sure you guys can.
No problem.
And everybody could see the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. Giuseppe, you can start timing me now.
Okay.
Zig Ziglar once said, "Fear has two meanings. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is yours." Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. What are you most fearful of? Is it agoraphobia, a fear of open spaces or crowds? Acrophobia, a fear of heights? Or aglophobia, a fear of pain? We are all fearful of something. There are three fears that I've had most of my life that have held me back for many, many years. Tonight, I'll be sharing with you those three fears and the progress I've made so far. Aquaphobia is the fear. I've had this fear since I was very young. I never learned to swim. I never thought I needed to. However, when I was in high school, I was invited to pool parties. We went to family occasions, and everybody was so excited about jumping into the pool, except for me. You see, when I see a pool, I see the deep end of a pool, and I get stuck. I freeze. I look down, and all of a sudden, I just go into shock. The mere thought of jumping into the pool terrifies me. I guess it's because I had a traumatic experience during a family vacation to a water park. I was on this flotation tube, and it all of a sudden floated into a huge pool of water. It was like 9 feet deep. The next thing I knew, the tube fell on top of me, and since I couldn't swim, I was having a hard time coming up for air. Lucky for me, a lifeguard was right there and he rescued me. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be here today. And you would think that fear, I would just sign up for classes, I would do everything I can. But again, every time I see a body of water, I just freeze. For me, I just forget everything and I want to run the other way. And I hope one day this fear will go away because I'm missing out on so many great events. My next fear is acrophobia. That's me about to jump off a perfectly good airplane at 13,500 feet, somewhere near Atlantic City. At that moment, the guy who strapped to me asked me, Genevieve, you have two choices. Are you ready to jump or you're not ready? Again, I was thinking about Zig Ziglar. Should I forget everything and just sit back down? Or should I face everything and rise up? As you can see in my next picture, I faced it head on. I jumped. When everything was telling me, don't jump, just sit back down, you might die today, I just took a leap of faith. And although he was telling me to look at the camera, I was looking on the ground because I was praying, I hope there's no pool of water. I hope there's no river. And I was so glad because it was just dry land everywhere and I was safe. And now every chance I get, I try to go on these adventures with my friends where I keep testing my fear of heights. Because as you can see, look at me. I seem so excited, right? But before that day, climbing a ladder was a feat for me. I just couldn't imagine I would ever do something so crazy in my life. But I took a leap of faith and I just went for it. And now I have pictures to share with everyone. But not all of our fears can be as simple as this. My last fear, which is the most important and the most life-changing, something I faced most of my life, is atychiphobia. Does anybody have a clue what it might be? I will tell you. Atychiphobia is the fear of failure. A person afflicted with this fear or this phobia considers the possibility of failure so intense that they choose not to take any risks. I was my own worst enemy. And now that I think about it, I've had this since high school, college, my adult life. Every decision that I had to make, I was always second guessing myself. Even when I knew the risks were small or meaningless, I just couldn't do it. And it has kept me from enjoying so many things in my life. I finally took a stand about 10 years ago when I started attending self-help seminars and networking events because I was sick and tired of just being that person who was just so scared of living her life. Actually, now that I think about it, Toastmasters has really made an impact on my life, because Toastmasters was the one thing where I kept taking risks. I kept renewing my membership every 6 months because I kept challenging myself and told myself, Jonavi, you can do this. Because even if you fail, you learn from that failure. Because in Toastmasters, you don't really fail. You just keep trying until you get better. Every role that I took on, every meeting role, officer's role, every speech that I gave, every time I got feedback, I didn't let that stop me from doing better. And although I never got over this fear of failure, and what I mean of not getting over is that we all have a fear of failure, but to this day, I'm not letting it get to me. And what I want to tell you is that we all have a fear of failure, a fear of something, but we shouldn't let it stand in our way. So just think about this. Think about Zig Ziglar's quote, fear has two meanings. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise up. I chose to rise up, and I challenge you to do the same, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jonavi. Thank you very, very much. What a stimulus we've had in those 3 speeches. Wonderful, wonderful, very enjoyable. Thank you again, Jonavi. And now, everyone, if you will take 1 minute and provide Jonavi some feedback through the chat. It's the timer. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And now we move to yet another fun part of our meeting this evening, and that is our table topics. And I'm going to ask Zachary to come now and explain table topics and move us forward with that. Zachary?
Yeah, just give me one quick moment. I just want to.
No problem.
Just respond to something in the chat. Let me see. Okay. Thank you, Toastmaster. And now we come to the table topics portion of our meeting, and we've got a very special event. And I'm not sure of the details for this, but we're having a contest. So who would be informing me of that, or how are we going to do that, since I just know that I've got the topics? So.
Sure thing, yes. So Zachary is going to be our topics master. He has one question that he's going to ask all the contestants. Those contestants will be in a separate breakout room, and so they'll come in one at a time. And then the people who are not competing, after they're finished, will send me over chat who they'd like to vote for as their favorite speaker for table topics tonight. And then that person will go on to the next round. They'll be our club champion to represent us going forward.
Will we get a poll with the names? Can we do that?
I think we're going to keep it simple and just do it as a text chat rather than a Zoom poll for now, because otherwise everybody will be able to vote, including the contestants, which is going to get too complicated. So a quick rundown. Our contestants are going to be Giuseppe, Jonavi, Kelly, Michael, and Troy. Am I forgetting anybody? Okay, excellent. So,
Ari, one
yes,
second. Just
please.
so it's going to be Giuseppe. Who else?
Jonavi.
We can do it via regular poll.
Oh yeah.
Jonavi. Yeah.
Great.
Jonavi. Who else? Troy.
Michael and Troy. Yeah.
Michael and Troy.
Yeah, and then if we have time after that, which we'll see, other guests, other members who want to try to answer either that question, or maybe Zachary has any other questions, or we can do a bonus little bit of table topics the standard way afterwards. But we'll see if we have time.
Just think of one question. But we'll
That's fine. Okay. we'll get very good at answering that question.
Okay. It's set. The poll is set. I just have to say launch poll.
Okay. Awesome.
If you want it, I can launch it now or
at the end. I think would be good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to move all our contestants, all 5 of them, to the breakout room. In there, you'll be able to chat amongst yourselves and hang out. And then if I can't bring you back manually, I'm not 100% sure if I can, I'll send a message to the next person who should come back. And you should see a button on Zoom that says rejoin main room. Dory, do you have a question?
Yes, I'm not clear of one thing.
Sure.
Will everyone attending the meeting, members and guests, vote for their favorite, or are we restrained that when we don't vote if we're just a guest? I'm not quite sure of the voting.
I think for our purposes, guests are welcome to vote.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also,
yeah, everybody vote. Who cares? I'm gonna win. I control this.
also,
Lois, yeah.
sorry, you said 5. Is it 5 or 4 contestants?
We have 5 contestants.
So
Who's the 5?
Gotta be Michael, Troy,
Kelly and Giuseppe.
oh Kelly. So what's
Kelly.
Kelly's
Okay.
first?
We're going to start with Giuseppe. Yeah.
Okay. When is Kelly? What? I didn't hear her in the order.
She's 3rd.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm second, right?
Yes. All sound good?
Wait.
All right.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Just
Sure.
1 second.
Okay.
All right.
And you'll see me. I'll be doing the timing for Giuseppe.
Done.
But then Giuseppe will do it for the rest. Mm-hmm. All right. This is pretty exciting. All right. I'm going to send all contestants to the other room. And then, actually, Giuseppe, we don't need to send you out if you're the first contestant. I'll send you out too, just to test it. All right.
Okay. No. I'm the first. So.
That was magical.
It's like bling.
That move was magical. I was like, okay, where are we going? Okay, here we go.
We were transported, Troy. We were transported.
Beam me up, Scotty.
We got our own thing going on here.
Oh my God, I love it.
I've actually never been in a breakout room before.
You've never been in a breakout room? Really?
It's like being backstage at the Apollo.
I like that, Troy. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, now they can snatch you back.
Yes.
Now, Troy, ironically, I have been backstage at the Apollo.
I have too. Okay. A few times.
Okay.
Okay, here he is. Excellent. Giuseppe, you can unmute yourself.
Sorry, I'm here. It's a little bit complex than
being in the other room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So Giuseppe.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. If you could be anywhere and any place in time for 2 minutes, besides table topics, where would you go and what would you do?
Oh, that's a great question. If I could be anywhere, and when we talk anywhere in the space for 2 minutes, the place I would really love to be at least even longer than 2 minutes, but 2 minutes, it will be in the moon. And it will be 1969. I don't remember today the date, July 1969, but don't exact the date. And it's right the moment that Neil Armstrong stepped in the moon. Such a moment that defines a big challenge for the humanity, a big challenge for America in that moment, and a great advance in science. A point that defines so much of what's happening today and what it will be happening in the future from that moment on. That's the reason why I would love to be there at that exact time and see him stepping on and leaving that footprint that will stay there for the next trillion years, trillion years. Who knows? Thank you.
Thank you, Giuseppe. That was out of this world. Excuse me. So,
just let Genevieve know.
Okay.
And hopefully she'll join us in a second. Unfortunately, I can't swap people between the two manually.
Welcome, Genevieve. Are you ready?
Can you hear?
Can you Okay. People can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, Genevieve, can you hear me? Okay. So, I'm not hearing you at the moment.
You have to connect to the audio maybe again, or turn on your.
Looks like she might be frozen at this point.
Yeah, it looks frozen.
Okay.
Probably going out and coming back.
Yeah, I'll ask Kelly to join the room.
Oh, she's
supposed to be able to give her. Here she comes.
Here she is.
Hey, Genevieve.
Okay. Can you
success?
Can you hear me now, Genevieve?
Can you speak though, because we can't hear you?
Yeah, I can. I just wanted to make sure my speaking was not counted.
No. Okay, so if you're ready, we'll begin. Okay, so the question is, if you could be anywhere in any place in time for 2 minutes, besides table topics, where would you go and what would you do?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. If I could be any place, any time, for just 2 minutes, I would choose to be in Hyderabad, India, the place where I was born, and also where my maternal grandmother lived. You see, about a year ago, my grandmother passed away, and it was very lucky for me that I got to see her before she passed. But I wouldn't want to see her last year. I would want to go back at least 2 or 3 years before all of her seizures and falls. Because 2 to 3 years ago, she was healthy. She had all her mobility, and she was able to talk clearly and profoundly. If I could have just 2 minutes, I would tell her that I loved her and that I wish she could live forever. because she's the most important person to me in my life. So if I could just have 2 minutes, that's all I want her to know, that she's loved and cherished forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Genevieve. It's that stimulus for me to be a better person. Thank you.
And just let Kelly know that she can rejoin us.
Kelly, now?
Yeah.
Okay.
One moment. Hi, Kelly, you're muted.
Hi. Yes. And coming to the main stage. I didn't know how to get out of there. You were like, come in. I was like, how? Okay. Okay. Here we go.
Welcome back, Amy. Okay, so you ready?
I am. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The question is, if you could be anywhere and any place in time for 2 minutes besides table topics, where would you go and what would you do?
Thank you, Table Topics Master Zachary. If I could be anywhere at any place in time, where would I be and what would I do? That's a really great question. Thank you very much. If I could be anywhere, I would like to be, and it would be almost like quantum leap. I would be at points of history, and I can only pick one. I would be at points of history where things shifted, things were totally different. I would be at the March on Washington. I think I would have loved to have heard and been in that sea of humanity where everybody came together and we were all searching and reaching and grasping and listening to this man and listening to these speakers who were giving us their framework of a more united States. I think I would have liked to have been there then. I could think of lots of other places, but I think I would like to have been there then because I think the spirit of that time, that spirit of that moment was so electrifying and so groundbreaking and changing for our country that I would have just loved to have felt it. And what would I have been doing? I would have been soaking it up. I would have been soaking up every single moment, trying to just feel it. Because I think sometimes when we're in the moment of things and things are happening, we don't really realize what they mean until we look back at them. So I'd like to go back then and just feel that sea of humanity, how many people were there from all walks of life, just really working and wanting to make this country greater. So that's where I would be. I would be at the Civil Rights March on Washington on the Great Lawn, listening to Martin Luther King and all the other speakers speak. Thank you. Toastmaster, not Toastmaster, I'm sorry. Table Topics Master, thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that was great. I just let Michael know, so hopefully he'll join us in a moment. Terrence, good to see you joining us also.
He's probably wondering how to get out.
Yeah, we should have tested this before.
It's actually not that easy, really.
Yeah. Do you remember the button to push Giuseppe? And I'll let him know. Or,
can you go back in? Can somebody go back in and retrieve him?
Yeah, go back in and get him. You can put me back. You can put me back. You can put me back.
Okay.
Giuseppe?
I'm not sure you can.
Here
it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here it is.
Here it is. Hey, Michael.
Here is Michael. Hey, Michael, you're mute.
Where's Michael?
Michael.
I'm sorry. Troy and I were in such a deep conversation. I almost didn't see Ari's message. Okay. Sorry.
We're about to send out a search party for you.
Yes, indeed. My apologies, Zachary.
No problem. So Michael, are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. The question is, if you could be anywhere and any place in time for 2 minutes, besides table topics, where would you go and what would you do?
If I could be anywhere in time for 2 minutes, where would I go and what would I do? I think I would. I have no desire to go way back in time, and I have no desire to go way into the future. But there's periods in my life where I'd like to go back to. I think just before I'm coming out of high school, because I made some decisions that I would like to adjust and change. I had to do a lot of adjusting and changing in my adulthood, but I would have liked to have made those adjustments back when I was still in high school. And I enjoyed my high school years also. So that's another reason for going back there for 2 minutes. I would make these very, very quick adjustments in my life, in my lifestyle, in my decision making. And I think it would have impacted me tremendously. And I probably would never have met you guys. So I'm glad I'm not able to go back in that time, because it's been a pleasure working with you guys and being in this Toastmasters group. But that's where I would like to go for 2 minutes in time. Thank you. Back to you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Michael. Great answer.
Okay, great. Troy should be rejoining us very shortly. And I think in the interest of time, after Troy is done, if one guest wants to try their hand at this table topics question, we'll do that, and then we'll move on to the evaluation portion. Troy, you can unmute.
Okay.
Hey, Troy might be doing his podcast.
Yeah, no.
So, Troy.
Yes.
Welcome. Are you ready to proceed?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I'm not seeing you. Okay, there you go. I'm seeing you in speak. Okay, so the question is, if you could be anywhere and any place in time for 2 minutes, besides table topics, where would you go and what would you do?
Thank you for that question, and hello again to everyone, every Toastmaster here and guests. If I can be anywhere in time, just for 2 minutes, where I would like to go to is to the beginning of time, to see what creation would have been like and what was in the thought of the process or the feeling or the vibrational energy. Since I am at a point in my life where I am discovering new awareness and thinking of that question being posed to me right now, that's where I would be. Not only to feel the curiosity of what the beginning of time was actually like, but to understand its purpose and the reasoning why, and maybe other unanswered questions or feelings or emotions that will arise in the process. In the process, I think I would see the beauty and all the glorious possibilities that only us as humans can just dream and imagine and think of, and possibly not even have an idea how to think on it. So that's where I would be if I just had 2 minutes, because I believe in that 2 minutes, it would be a lifetime of knowledge and information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Troy. Great answer. And Ari, so we're going to take one guest then?
Yeah, if one guest or one member wants to try their hand at the question, okay, by all means, put your hand up. Otherwise, we'll move on to the voting.
Okay, so I see that Terrence, is that that you're volunteering? Sure, okay. Not waving hello.
Okay.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
question is, if you could be anywhere in any place in time, 5 particular topics, where would you go?
So I'd go back to my college graduation, which is 21 years ago. After receiving my degree, thinking about what choices I should make and the consequences of making those choices. Because I often wish I could go back to that time of my life and make some changes. But I also like how my life turned out. But I still kind of wonder what if. Kind of similar to that movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow back in 2000. They like to just take one little turn and everything can change. But I've been happy with my decisions. I met my wife, I have my family, so it's just you just wonder what if. But it's good to just really just stay where you are and let things be as they play as they go. Let things turn out maybe you can't really wreck your mind thinking about what if I did this, what if I did that. But I would go back to that moment in 2000 that I graduated college.
Thank you very much, Terrence. Appreciate your volunteer. And now we will, let's see, the voting, yes. So.
Oh, wow.
I have a question.
Yeah, Dory.
I believe we have to say, was everyone on time before we could vote within the in the table topics time to be eligible to be voted for this. Am I correct on that, Ari?
Yeah, that's a good point. Giuseppe,
that's a good point. I can check that quickly, and I can tell you right now. Table topics. Giuseppe did 1 minute 34. Janavi 1 minute 34. Kelly 1 minute 57 seconds. Michael 57 seconds. Troy 1 minute 17 seconds. And Terrence 54 seconds. So definitely everybody qualify.
No, not 57 seconds. 57, I believe, does not qualify. I could be mistaken.
Yeah, Dory, Terrence wasn't competing because he's not a club member. He was.
Yeah.
No, the 57 was your fourth speaker.
Let me look quickly. Michael is disqualified.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. Sorry, Michael.
Quick question. Are people able to see the poll or no?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. This is only the second time we've done a poll like this. Are people able to submit their choices, I guess is the more important question.
Did we all get the poll? I don't have it.
So to be clear, who's voting? Who's eligible to vote?
I can relaunch the poll again.
Okay.
Yeah, it's showing up on my end as well, like to vote, and it shouldn't be, right? Yeah.
No, it should be there.
But I should
No,
vote
I don't
for
think
myself.
I don't think contestants vote.
Right.
You don't vote. You don't cast your vote.
Okay.
The ironic thing is I won't be able to see who actually cast their ballots. But so far we got six votes coming in.
6 votes. And we are 11. It was 5 contestants.
Well, 4 now, right?
5. Well, Michael disqualified, but that doesn't mean that he will be voting. So we are done.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. Thank you all.
And
excellent. Giuseppe, if you don't mind, we can announce the winner during the evaluation coming up. Okay. Excellent. So just to move things along, we're going to start the evaluation portion of the evening. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with us. That was a different table topics than we usually would have. And Zachary, thank you for coming up with that very stimulating question. I like that one. It gets the listener and the speaker thinking a lot. So that's fantastic. So tonight we had 3 prepared speeches. We had Kelly, we had Lois, and we had Jonathan speaking. And so we're going to have 3 club members come up and give somewhat impromptu, somewhat prepared speeches that will provide them with some constructive feedback about what they did really well, areas that they can grow in the future. And then after that, we'll hear how we did for the timing, how we did for our filler words, and we'll hear how we did with table topics and who our favorite speaker was. So without further ado, I would love to welcome Michael, who's going to be delivering an evaluation for Kelly. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So let me try to do this in the essence of time. Let me try to do this as expeditiously as I possibly can. Kelly, you have a knack of combining, and I love the way you do it because I strive to be that kind of speaker also. You combine actually giving a speech with having a conversation with your audience. So you connect in a double way. You're giving a speech, giving information, but you're also talking to your audience. And that's, to me, that's very, very positive. You excelled this evening with those examples. And I can't say enough about that, so I won't go into it too deeply, but the examples that you gave, the inventor of the light and shoes and elevator and the traffic signal were excellent and presented very, very well. I would love to see, I can't wait to see how you give a speech in front of a live audience. So if there's anything to work on, if I could even put it in that category, is just preparing yourself. I know you've done it before. I've never seen you do it, but just preparing yourself to give a speech in front of a live audience. What would you do differently? How would you enhance your speech knowing that there are people sitting right there looking at you? And to challenge yourself, just keep looking at your speeches, at each speech, because you just improve with every speech. So that's how you challenge yourself. You are your biggest competitor as far as improving on your speech. So just keep looking at yourself and what you do. I loved your summary. I loved the history part. And thumbs up on a really, really excellent speech this evening. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Michael. That was great. Next up, I'm actually going to be evaluating Lois' speech. So, Mr. Timer, if you could reset the timer, that'd be excellent.
Give me a second.
All right. Thank you, Giuseppe. And thank you, Lois. Once again, you have brought a very stimulating speech to the club. It connected with the audience, which was the goal of this project tonight. So your speech was entitled Homemade Soy Milk. And you, right off the bat, started asking us, okay, what do we think about when we hear the word tofu? And you had us, when we hear the word soy, apologies, and you had us writing it in the chat, which was a fantastic way to get your audience interested, to get them thinking about the dimensions of what your speech could be. And I think for me, this was the first time I've seen a cooking demonstration within the context of Toastmasters. And I really liked your camera work also. That was fantastic. In terms of the structure of your speech, it sort of matched the structure of a cooking show, as Michael quipped after your speech. You showed us the ingredients inside the blender. You talked a little bit about the background of the ingredients and their nutritional value. You talked a little bit also about the misconceptions that a lot of people have on soy. So I think you really were bringing in a lot of different angles on what is soy milk, what is soy. In terms of some suggestions that I would have for the next time you give the speech or next time you do a cooking demonstration in this sense, you can talk a little bit while you're adding in ingredients or while it's starting to heat up. I think you can also do some of that audience participation that you had at the beginning. For instance, you asked us, what comes to mind when we think about soy? You could also say the same thing. What comes to mind for the audience when we think about a healthy sweetener? See people come up with dates, if they come up with honey, and then you could make it a little bit more conversational at that point. I would also suggest, if you're going to use the chat function, definitely read out what people's suggestions and what their comments are, not just saying, oh, that looks good, yes, because some people are listening more than they're watching the chat box. One funny thing that I think comes up sometimes in your speech is you have a very straightforward scientific speech where you embody authority because you know nutrition, science really well. And then sometimes you throw in something that's a bit of a curveball. In this case, it was man boobs. And so I think it was definitely a moment of levity and it was funny, but you should probably define it and then maybe even play up the humor of that a little bit more, because when you are giving a speech about nutrition and you're trying to embody this authority, and then suddenly you have this one element, it sort of gives it an interesting spin, but I think you could lean into that a little bit more. That said, I think the last suggestion I would give, because usually you do an excellent job of this when it's a speech that's structured in more of a didactic or presentational way, is you always tell us at the end, what did we learn? You recap the speech. I think it'd be great for this speech. I know you're still in the process of blending, but I think if you recapped it and said, what did we learn? We learned that soy is a great form of protein. We learned that dates is a great sweetener. I think that could really pull together. So thank you. All right. Whew, I hope I made it just in under the red deadline there.
Just in time for the to be ready. Anybody want to taste?
I wish.
You can see it's done.
We'll take a virtual taste.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you. Lastly, I would love to invite up our third and final evaluator, who's Giuseppe, who's going to be evaluating Genevieve's speech. Giuseppe, the floor is yours. I can handle the timing unless you can multitask.
No, I can do it. Thank you, Ari.
Right.
So if you guys hear some sirens, something's going on around here. So sorry, but anyway, let's get started. Genevieve, your speeches are always great as a master like you. So definitely, we know what we are expecting. With that saying, I will have to indicate first, you started talking about the phobias, and it was like a few of them I knew. One of them I knew what it was. The other one I was like, huh? You mentioned them, but you didn't explain what it was, the phobia. Probably after I hear your speech, I realized it was part of your story in order to mention the phobia. So you probably could have gone with the story initially and moving in the middle. That's what I have. I never go to the pools, or when I used to go to the pools, I used to be scared. Everybody was excited. I was the one with fears. And that is exactly what is aquaphobia. That way, you already are doing the explanation of the phobia and introducing the name of the phobia, and everybody will be happy. It was a phobia. It was really a risk. Being so personal, actually, I'm going to be honest, it's always a risk. Being personal and indicating personal issues or personal things in a speech, especially when it's people that we don't know. And I don't know anybody, so... well, with that saying, removing the joke, the truth is that you were having way too many pauses, and sometimes the pauses were so in the middle, they felt like, what's going on? Is she cutting, or is losing, or we are losing? And in a couple minutes, it was actually distracting for me. At least for myself, it was distracting. So what I will try to say is, like, for the future, trying to avoid those pauses, and maybe practice it a little bit more. Try to make it a long story that things were happening, and like how the water goes, and then the beautiful story about jumping and doing from an airplane. I want to do it and never done it, but you did it, and it's great you have done it. And so it's like you achieved that phobia, and how then you achieved with Toastmasters super the other phobia. With that saying, thank you so much for it, and thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Giuseppe, fantastic. So those were our 3 evaluations of the 3 speeches, which it's great that we had a full evaluation team tonight. I next want to invite up our 2 other evaluation style roles. So the first one is Giuseppe again, who's going to let us know how we did on our timing tonight. Giuseppe?
Okay, so with the timing, for the prepared speeches, our first speaker was Kelly King Lewis, and she had a speech of 5 to 7 minutes, and she went a little bit overboard, and she went to 9 minutes 13 seconds. I want to mention that this we should add a couple seconds because the timer didn't start on time. It started a couple seconds later. It's okay. Lois, amazing. You went 35 seconds over the time, 7 minutes and 35 seconds. And even though you did a cooking show for us, and we're watching how soy milk is happening live. That's great. Genevieve, 9 minutes, 47 seconds. That's something else that you could improve in the future. That was great. Table topics. Giuseppe did 1 minute 34 seconds. Genevieve 1 minute 34 seconds. Wow, the two of us we were right in the same time. Amazing. Kelly 1 minute 57 seconds, and Kelly and I we went to the same time in the timeline. Okay, we went to around the same years. Michael 57 seconds. Troy 1 minute 17 seconds. Troy, you really went back in time. And amazing. I will love, actually, that was a really great place to be. And Terrence, 54 seconds. On evaluations, Michael, 1 minute 42 seconds. Ari, 3 minutes 2 seconds, right in the edge. And Giuseppe, 2 minutes 49 seconds. With that, I pass back to Mr. Toastmasters Evaluator, and you tell me if you want to share the results or I share the results.
Thank you, Giuseppe. No, I'll just do it verbally. So I'd love to congratulate Genevieve, who got the most votes tonight for table topics. So as our favorite table topic speaker, she is going to be our club champion moving on to the next round of the table topics contest. So congratulations, Genevieve. Big round of applause. Troy, the floor is now yours. You are going to let us know how we did on our words tonight, and especially our word of the day. Please welcome Troy.
Well, hello. Well, on our word of the day, and I was listening as carefully as I could, no one used the word stimulus except Michael in the beginning when he said maybe I can get away with it, and he used it twice, stimulus and stimulating. So I'm going to let that be part of it. When it comes to the counter, Kelly had 2 ahs, 10 ums, 2 ers, and 1 so. She used they twice, that twice, they don't, this, and it, and two. There were other words where the words were used twice, but I did not count because it put emphasis on what she was saying, and so I did not count those. On Lois, had only 1 She used the and it twice, and there were also some words that she used repeatedly, but I believe it was part of the emphasis of what she was talking about. Genevieve had 2 ums, used only I and we twice, and that wraps it up for the counter and the word of the day.
Thank you, Troy. You were listening very keenly. I appreciate that.
Wait. If we're going to include everybody else, I mean, am I supposed to include everyone else that talked? Because I did capture that.
I would say you could do a quick rundown if there were anything that was a pattern that a lot of us were using.
Very quickly, Michael had 1 Okay. Ari, you had 1 you used this and you can twice. Giuseppe, you had 1 ah. And everyone else, I believe that I didn't catch anything, and if I did, I missed it. I apologize.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you, Troy.
You're welcome.
Awesome. So now that we're done with all those formal evaluation portions, I'm going to give a really quick evaluation of the meeting overall. I would say, yes, cheers. Thank you, Lois. I'd say this was a different meeting than we usually would have. We had Lois giving a food demonstration. We had this table topics contest. We had the three speeches, though, which were excellent. One was historical, one was practical, one was very inspirational. And so I think that was great. One thing I think we should keep in mind also as a club is we want to be sure we're staying to time, especially in our speeches, because that's where we have the most control. So going over by 30 seconds, that's okay. Going over by 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that's when it starts to add up. And you can see here we're running over time now. So I'm going to keep my remarks brief. So hopefully in the future, we'll be able to keep that a little more concise. However, I think this club contest that we did, it was a very lightweight contest. It was easy to pull off. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you like competing and hearing all the varied answers. So I hope we can do something like that again in the future. I'm going to turn it over to the Toastmaster now, and then we'll wrap up the meeting.
Oh, before you do, I just want to say Zachary used it.
Yes. Thank you, Zachary.
Thank
yeah,
you,
Lois.
Very good, very good. Thank you for all the reports. I'm going to be very brief. I want to echo one of the things that Ari said. For me, this was one of the best meetings that I've attended. It was lively, it was upbeat, it was fun. You know, we learned a lot, we shared a lot. You know, we went to cooking class, we went to history class. You know, take us back to high school. We were everywhere. And I think that you have to have meetings like this. They can't be always straightforward and stoic and those other words that you all know. You know, you got to have some fun also. Some speech making can be enjoyable, and you should enjoy making speeches when you do them for real. I've done a lot in my professional career, and I cherish the ones where I just really felt good and the audience vibed off of what I was saying. And it was just very enjoyable. So I thank you. I enjoyed being Toastmaster tonight. And I'm going to turn this over to our esteemed president to close us out.
Thank you, Michael. I like that reflection. It's good. And it was a fun meeting for sure. Before I wrap it up and let everybody go, if the guests have any reflections, if this meeting is what they expected, if it was not what they expected, if there's any feedback for us as a club, I'd love to hear it really briefly, and then we'll end. Yeah, Terrence.
Okay, well, my apologies for arriving late, but what I did enjoy what I saw and heard, and so I liked it while I was here. I liked what I saw and what I got to experience.
Thank you, and I'm really glad that you got to participate in table topics tonight. It's great.
Thank you.
It's always good practice.
Yeah, it is. Right.
Oliver, Dory. Yeah, Dory, please.
Ari and the rest of the members. I want to congratulate you running a contest. I thought that the question was very thought-provoking. I believe in the contests I've seen, the real proper way, it's a little higher level, is to say, Mary Smith, the question is, where would you go if you could go anywhere? Then they repeat the question. The question is, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? Mary Smith. That's rather formal, but that really, by adding it twice, then the contestant hears it twice. It is getting a few more seconds to consider it. The other thing, I don't know if it's my computer, but when the people were speaking, I could not always see the timing. And that's okay because I'm a guest, but I wondered if all the contestants, the speeches tonight and the table topics, is everybody saw the timer with the green and the red and all clearly or not, because I didn't. And so that would be a question, because I noticed the speeches went over and I thought maybe they didn't see the time or maybe they didn't pin the timer. That would be a question I would wonder.
Well, actually, that's a good question, and the answer is not sure. It depends on the person. If they have the setting to see the speaker, they will have seen themselves. But I always, and I forgot today to really do that recommendation, is pin the timer. Pin the timer for you. You're going to see the timer in front of you. Honestly, it's the most important thing other than see the little boxes where is every single one of us. It's the camera and the timer. Those two.
Yeah, Dory, thank you. I appreciate that you have such a wealth of knowledge about contests, and that's really, really good feedback. So thanks. I'm glad you're here too. Oliver, Martina?
Lois, I'm coming by. Is that my jar right there? Okay, because I'm in the city, as you know. We're not that far. I'm coming by to come get it. I'm serious. I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Before we wrap, Martina, thoughts?
I know, I thought it was great. I was really impressed by how well you guys have transitioned to Zoom, because I can imagine that was not easy, at least in the beginning. So, yeah, and I think it's a really nice and collegial environment, which is really helpful. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Oliver.
Martina. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I thought it was a really fun meeting. I enjoyed watching the speakers, and I also enjoyed the feedback you gave each other. I like how that was structured. I thought it was really good for my first one. So,
Thank you. And again, guests, you're always welcome to come back.